Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to Free Talk Friday. Seems
Good
like
morning.
ever. Well, how are you, Kamiko? Good seeing you.
Yeah, you too. You too. I'm doing all right. A little tired, but I'm all right.
I know, right? Right?
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
just been, trying to do work and ministry and this, but the Lord is our strength, right?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yes. So we just want to come before you, not for too long. We say that all the time, but we're not going to be before you too long this time.
Yeah.
And we just want to, just free talk a little bit about your thoughts about money, gas. And, I was talking to Kamiko and I was telling her, I said, Kamiko, it's so amazing how, we have all this gas and I mean, we have all this money and we didn't have, the gas to use the money to pay for. And I
Mhm.
say sometimes, people are the cliche, you always hear money buy everything or answer it everything. So it does to a sense because when there was no gas, we had money to go to the gas station. The gas station were all filled. They were actually limiting people with, purchasing gas. And then some places where you live, you couldn't find gas. I've talked to people who couldn't get any gas, but they have the money. So, it's a catch 22 because here you do it. It reminded me of when pandemic started and people had the money, you had a paycheck, you had money, income, whatever, but the stores were emptied with Clorox and you couldn't get, you couldn't get the essential things that you needed, house cleaning products and so forth. And then the people who do have the abundance of it, they were charging an arm and a leg to get it. And that's what was going on with this gas price too. So what are your thoughts on that, Kamiko?
Well, it's definitely been interesting. It reminds me of the in Bible times with the children of Egypt when there was a famine in the land. They had money, they had um, all of this stuff, but there was a famine. So there was no way to get grain. There was no way to get food. There was no way to get these things. They had the money to buy it. So they had to travel a
Right.
distance to get it to Egypt. And thank God he had Joseph in place.
Mhm.
Although, he got there by, some not so pleasant um, uh, route.
Right.
But thank God that he got him in place so that his, will be able to set provision in
Mhm.
place for God's people. So, um, yeah, it reminds me of that. I mean, you can have the money, but if the actual product you're trying to buy is not on the shelf or not available, you kind of still in the same place. So it's very, very interesting. We were able to see a lot of people
Mhm.
panic and do things that was quite interesting
Right.
when it come to this gas shortage or what was thought to be this gas shortage. So
Mhm.
I know that as we were talking about it, you mentioned some things that you saw. And so just that were just so interesting of, how we react in crisis, when things hit, how we react, our initial um, mindset,
Mhm.
the panic that happened, the anxiety,
Yeah.
how are we handling crisis that can happen in any way. So we just, you know, a great pandemic just hit last year. We're still going through effects of that right now. Then this gas shortage hit, you know, the economic market was hit last year into this year.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it has been seemingly one thing after the other and when we look at crisis, but how we handle them can determine a lot of things of how our mental state and our
Mhm.
physical and emotional well being will be.
And you're so right, because and I like that you brought that up, 'cause that's so important. The anxiety, the
Mhm.
frustration, the overwhelmingness, the oh my goodness, the criminal activities that goes
Yeah,
behind that. Because believe it or not, it drives people to stealing, it drives people to get
oh, yeah.
angry, fighting, and
Mhm.
people, can eventually lose their lives behind the crisis that the country is
Right.
facing. And, this was nationwide, so more in the United States, but it's just, however and wherever. Good morning, Pauline. Welcome.
Good
And
morning.
we're talking about gas prices and the effects by it, and having money. Can money solve everything? And but in this case, I was talking to Kamiko and I was telling her, I said it's so amazing because they still had to pay money to get back what was theirs. So
That's right.
it's the same thing Kamiko mentioned about Egypt. When these people, when Joseph took over, these people still had to go and purchase.
That's right.
They had to go far. Wherever they went, they still had to go purchase to
Hmm.
get, you know, just the little that they could, and pay a lot of money,
Yeah,
and that's why around crisis time, you have those that fall and you have those that rise. And
yeah,
sometimes the one that rise, I know the favor of God is on our life, so we rise, and we rise by favor. But you have those that rise doing things illegally and doing things wrongfully, and causing even more stress on families,
hmm,
and doing a lot of dramatic things that, is unnecessary. So we were talking about the gas prices. So, put your thoughts in there. We like to hear, share, share,
yeah,
share, because I think this is very important, and not just only that crisis of not having, or it leads to the lack, but it leads to a lot of psychological issues. It leads to a lot of medical issues,
hmm,
with people, because not having gas, okay, the ambulance, them not able to run, when the reserve is run out of what they need to put in the car to go pick people up, or those who called ambulance for illness or for whatever issues that concerns them. You're not able to go to work because you know you don't have any gas station near you that has gas, or you're running on the last fuel, which is what I always say, E for enough. And when enough runs out, so this this crisis right here led to a lot. Although the good thing is, yes, the cyberjacking pipelines was halted. I mean, it was just so much different things, but I want to feed a little bit more on the stupidity of people's action
desperation.
doing during
Oh,
the crisis. So let me start off with it, and
man.
then Kamika, you jump in right here. One
Yeah.
of the videos I saw was, it just blew my mind, and I'm sure it's circulating all around social media. But this someone took a video at the gas station with this one lady, and she, those bags that you go the grocery store, and you bring home, and some people save those. She had two grocery bags, y'all, and she was filling up. She filled up, one grocery bag with gas. Little grocery. I should have brought one here with me. She filled one, and then she went into her car and got the other one, and double bag it, and
Double.
put it, double bag it, girl, double bag it. Like
Mm,
that was supposed to be the ultimate protection. And
yeah.
she put it in her car
So
and
dumb.
drove off. I'm like, just the mere fact you have that in your car and you in there
Mhm.
and you're driving,
Yeah.
you could have easily caused, and we
Mhm.
don't know, or I haven't heard of, her, the end result behind her, but
Mm.
that is stupidity.
Yeah.
I'm sure you saw some people you can talk about.
Yeah, it's desperation and people panic. They panic. They panic. I was made aware of one where some guys they were using Tupperware bowls, you
Oh,
know, and putting it in Tupperware bowls and putting it in their cars. Desperation. I mean, we have to be mindful not to operate impulsively
mm,
in
mm, mm.
desperation because that was reckless. Both
Look,
items, and I'm
at-
sure you've heard of different ones. And I was one of those that was out
look
looking
what
for
Pauline
gas.
said.
What did she say?
She said sandwich bag.
Oh gosh,
Said it was
yeah.
a woman who was filling up a sandwich bag
Oh
with gas
wow,
as well.
yeah. That's so reckless, and it's so reckless because it's so dangerous. To
Mm.
do that is highly gasoline, petroleum is highly flammable. I
And
mean,
it probably ate out her
highly
car, ate out the back of her seat or wherever she
Yeah,
was.
yeah, it's highly flammable and inhaling that kind of, those fumes in your car is so reckless and out of desperation, people panicking. Like over here, there were lines all the way
I
down,
heard, heard.
blocking the roads. We couldn't get
Oh my
past
God.
lines all out in the road, like
Wow.
half a mile down the road, lines of
Mm-mm.
cars just blocking. I didn't even know. I'm like, why is traffic stopped over here? What has happened?
Now it's making
Gas,
sense.
gas, yes. I
Yes.
was like, what is going on? So it's caused a lot of businesses and companies to have those meetings now, for people that can't get to work. And, even with that, when things
Right.
happen, people take advantage of that too. Oh, I can't come to work today. We got a gas shortage over here. People are
Oh,
still crying that, and gas stations are open back up.
my husband, when he died, he was so frustrated. His employees
Yeah,
just kept calling in saying, I can't come to work, man. I can't come to work.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
So
It affects you everywhere.
it
Every
really does. It really does. And, it's amazing how one thing in a nation can affect a whole nation. It
mm-hmm.
is it's interesting how one decision we can make in our household can affect our whole household.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
decision we make in a government can affect the whole country.
Oh, how
And that's why it's like so important that we remain in a place of prayer and we
yeah.
remain in a place where we're not acting and reacting out of desperation and impulsion, because that will cause us to put ourselves in a situation where we will have to pay for that um, time, years, maybe down the road,
Mm,
maybe generations down the road,
right.
And so I look at back to that story, back in the children in Egypt when there was that famine and there was no more food anywhere,
Mm,
but in Egypt, and people had to travel miles around just to get what they needed for their families and their cattle. So the thing is, what helped one major thing that helps us in crisis is preparation. What Joseph did is Joseph took the 7 years from the leading of the Lord. He took the 7 years to prepare and to store and to collect and to do the things he needed for the 7 years that was coming.
yes.
So he was prepared. And not only was he prepared for Pharaoh's house, but he was prepared for the world around,
Mm-hmm.
because he set himself up to be the supplier, the hub for distribution. And so his mindset, by the grace of God and the direction of God, was to set it up to be so that God's people can have what they need during
Have,
that time. And
yeah.
so and other people too, which caused Egypt and Pharaoh's house to prosper
Mm,
because they end up being the distribution center. So everybody that came had to pay them. So when
right.
I think about that um on a more direct and specific level as to where we are, how we prepare for our families and for our future. Not being wasteful, but preparing, thinking.
Absolutely.
And just like, God's so awesome. And y'all know by now that, Don and I are ministers. And so, mostly everything we're going to talk about is going to have something to do with God. If we don't mention it on here, we already talked about it behind the scenes, something. So y'all already know. But in scripture, he tells us to look at the ant. The ant does the very exact
My
thing.
favorite story.
It prepares, it works, it continually moves, it's synchronized, they move in order, they move to do their one mind, one focus, moving to do what's necessary because they're aware of the season to come.
That's right.
It's
That's
not if, it's when.
right.
And when this happened, we will be ready. And and sometimes we don't think that way. We look at today, or the saying that they say, "Oh, you live for today." Yeah, you do, but you need to plan for next
For
year.
tomorrow. And God don't want us to just twiddle our fingers or do things and not be
That's
in
right.
preparation. And I know
Mhm.
some things is beyond our control, but we still cannot just be reckless in
Absolutely.
preparing recklessly too, because I know this is something that you and I were talking about, which I thought is a good point. You can maybe expound a little bit on that, but just going back to the preparation aspect of everything, and we have so many expert in uh, intelligence in the human
Mhm.
being, and creating such chaos in the world, then that's so scary, because the fact that you have whoever, whether it's one person or a group of people or whatever, that hijack, or they call it the cyber jack, the security
Mhm.
of this operation was
Yeah.
scary, because I was telling you what is so scary about that is what else is there if they can get that cyber jacked, and we are doing everything pretty much now online. All your monies, all the banks, all the medical histories. I mean, what else can be there? And sometimes people or the system is created, but they create the system happily knowing that it executing a task or job, but
Mhm.
they don't think about the end result, the side effects, the how well did you protect this system
Right.
from
Mm.
hijacking. And two, if you did protect it, what you have in place for if things
Mhm.
happen. So you're under the thumb of now the cyberjackers to
Yeah.
be able to issue out money to save your country. So I just what are your thoughts about that and the security behind all of that?
Yeah, yeah. I just think that, it brings us to the point where we start to really consider where our focuses have been. A lot of times we focus over here because this is what's trending, this is what's going on, and we leave things unprotected, and we leave things, where it's not secured as much as it should be. It's just like you're in your house and you go around and you lock your doors because you don't want someone to come in. You don't want So you lock your doors, you put the chain on it, you put the bolt lock on it, but you leave all of your windows up. You leave all of your windows open. And you say, hey, I'm protected. I'm in the house. The doors are locked, because this is the way people normally come in, through the door. But people that
Wait.
spend time doing that, any opening, they will come in. It's just like you leaving your windows and your doors open in the summertime and saying, well, no flies will come in here. I only want gnats, not flies. That's not what happens. When you leave it open, everything that can fly in. You're leaving open access. And I think it's caused us to really look at those things, because when all of this happened, ransomware that was used, it's just like, it's called dark side. How ironic, right? It's called dark side, right? And so they, they used it, but they were very strategic about this. It started last year.
Mhm.
Like they started buying and all of this. So they paid the ransom because what they did is they weighed out, the CEO of the Colonial Pipeline weighed out what would be more feasible and how can we, cut down on the collateral damage here? Like what can we do to stop this now and not cause as much damage as it could cause? And they made the decision to pay the ransom. I think the ransom was what, $4.4 million. Right? So they made the decision to pay the ransom, and they did that in cryptocurrencies, right? So they made that decision to do that because it was just less, you know, it was less money
So,
and less damage to do that than to go through
deal with
trying
the
to find it first and allowing this to go on. Because when you allow it to go on, this is a pipeline that went from Texas all the way over to like New Jersey. So it was like it supplied
a
all of that.
lot of states,
Yeah,
and
I think they
it
said it was
caused
like,
a domino effect. Like we
yeah, it
say,
did.
job, you can't go to work, you can't.
That's
It
right.
caused a domino effects, which caused a whole lot of other issues.
Economic failure again in a
Ooh,
different way. And so it comes to that. We're looking at, I think they said was like 5,500 miles, and so we're looking at all of the gas stations and the airports and the trains and, all of these
at
different things, the
home,
way, right, the way stores are supplied, they have trucks that bring in the groceries that's affected, what's on the shelf,
exactly
you know,
the
and
ship.
so it causes that domino effect that Don was saying because it affects everything. So
Thing.
when it comes to that, when you measure that and you're like, yeah, so we either gonna go on and pay this and deal with all this on the back end, or we're gonna allow this to go on and see a real economic crash
Mhm.
because people can't go to work. So business now that's just opened up, now they got to figure out how we're going to meet the demand of our clients because
Mhm.
now we have nobody working.
It's so
We
much
have no trucks
there,
moving.
so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. So it's that thing. We have to make sure as much as we possibly can to do the things that we can to protect ourselves because we're seeing now that these major items are being hacked and they've been being hacked. This is not a first time thing. All these things. You have the
We
the
just
credit.
haven't heard we may not
Right.
have heard
A-
what's going on behind the scenes, but it's
That's
been
right.
going on, and they
It's
probably
been going on.
hear of it. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to add to what you're saying. Preparation is one, but the other
Mhm.
thing is having people with wisdom in leadership,
Oh yeah.
that will, because whoever
A
was
major one.
in charge had to be wise to make that wise decision in doing so. Some people will disagree, or some companies, some CEOs, some director leaders will disagree and have the country suffering a little while longer and trying to go through all different routes to find who did this and to find how they can capture them while the country is progressively growing deeper in crisis, creating all the things that we talked about. And then that can be a little harder to come out of, because then now you have this big old mess, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, hey, Damien. Hey, Cherry Ann, the new ones that's added. Nice. He said, nice, well said. And just Pauline says, we have more in common than we care to admit. And she
Absolutely.
also said, I think this is important what she said here about fear of the unknown can drive
Mhm.
us to do things without thinking. That is
Absolutely.
absolutely true. And Cherry
Absolutely.
Ann, hello, Cherry Ann, she says, I saw that and thought that was so selfish and reckless. I think she was responding to what we were talking about, the sandwich bags
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and things
Yeah.
filling up. So just recapping for those of you who are just joining us, we are talking about money and the gas prices, and
Mhm.
you can jump in at any time and make your comments, and we do honor that and we appreciate it. So we're just talking about the crisis that it creates in the world, and we're talking about the
Yeah.
side effects and the effects behind it. And we talk about being prepared when you're making systems, or be prepared in life period. And also that both people who you think have wise can make wise decisions, because again, some people you might just vote to say, oh well, I like this person, but they make decisions that can just really put your world
Mhm.
in a deeper detriment. So I know,
Yeah.
back to you, Kamiko.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point you're making. Having great leadership and people that are, able to really think, unbiasedly about not just one class of people or one status of people, one group of people, but everybody. How is this going to affect everybody, the decisions that we're making in the government? Because these things, it affects the whole nation, the decisions that are made, whether we know them or not. They're having these conversations, around the tables, they're having these talks. And so they're deciding things that we're unaware of until they actually hit
Right.
the airway. When it hits the airway, they've already decided and they've already discussed it. And so we definitely, that is something that we have to be aware of, that our leadership matters. It matters, who is in leadership. Another thing, just to kind of give some, another thing that we can try to do, um, when as we're in this age of online shopping and all of these different things. There's been many hacks, as
Oh
we've said.
boy.
There
Yeah.
there's been a hack of the credit bureaus. There's been hacks in the hospital records. There's been
Mhm.
hacks of all kinds of different, even down to Facebook.
Mhm.
Facebook pages and groups
Constantly.
being hacked
That's
constantly. These
constantly.
are things that happen. Bank accounts just went through that. Bank accounts being hacked and people going in. So what
Emails,
one huh?
emails, people email.
Email, absolutely, absolutely. So some things that we could do personally, in this age where we are, is to be more aware. Check your accounts, check your bank accounts constantly. If you're seeing things on there that, whether it's a few cents or $1 or anything like that, that's on your account, make your bank aware of what's going on. Look into it, because what I found out, I just went through that, what, last week and a half ago, where there was somebody or some group that had gone into account through a different way, one of my accounts, and they were taking out small amounts, cents. They would do it every so often where I wouldn't notice it. And then they did a big amount. That
Mhm.
was it. So I had to go through that, just so happened to look through my account, and I'm like, what is this? Why is this? Okay. So I called the bank. When they researched, this has been happening since November of last year.
Wow.
Never noticed it. Never noticed it. And some of them, they'd gone through several avenues. So one of them was PayPal. We use that a lot. So when we're using PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, all of these different third-party avenues to send and receive monies and funds, we have to be aware of what we're putting on there and how we're doing it. Even when we're purchasing things online, one thing that we can do is go and buy prepaid cards. Put on what you want to use, because that, if that's hacked, is only connected to that amount. That will
That's
be
good.
all that they get, instead of connecting it to your actual banking institution. So doing that can kind of help, you know, to kind of help and bring some security and peace of mind to you when it comes to shopping online. Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't do shopping online, but that's really where the world is going.
Where it's
Most
going.
things, a lot of things, that's what's, that's what they're doing. And so, just doing little things that can protect yourselves when you're doing that. Not being mindful when you're purchasing off Facebook and when you're purchasing off YouTube, these different infomercials and commercials and advertisements that come up selling. Sometimes that's a way that hackers would get through. I didn't even know that until I had to talk to the investigators at at my bank, and they were going over all of these things to me. Great information, things that a lot of it I didn't even know about. I'm like, how in the world is this not detected? It's like they have, systems and algorithms that they do, that they will sit there and go over all the numbers and put them in sequence to find your password, to find out this. That's why they're telling you to get a password and don't use the same one for everything. Because I know I was one of those people. You give me one good password, I'm using it across the board. Just
I
whatever.
think a lot of people are like you because it's
I'm
trying to
using
keep
it
up.
across the board. So it's really
Or,
good.
or
Uh-huh.
real quick to that, because our company does this, change
Mhm.
your password
Yes,
frequently. Like
frequently.
every month, every 30 days, every 2 months, our
Mhm.
password has to change. So you're not,
Yes,
you know, you're not remaining the same consistently.
that's true. That's true. And that's a good one too. And also use a password filled with numbers and symbols and letters as well. So you have you know, my dog ate my paper, something like that, but with numbers and symbols. You want to use something like that, not just, you know, your last name and your birthday, you know, not
Mm-hmm.
just password, or not just one, two,
Zero,
three, four.
zero, one, one, one.
Yeah, 77777, nothing like that, because that's easy for them. They have, technical systems that are set up that
Can
can
there's
easily
an
break that,
algorithm to it. They can tell.
easily break that,
Oh,
easily
and
break it.
that's what they say. That's why we change our passwords so often at work too. Because if a hacker, you confuse the hacker, because the hackers go by a system. They watch your
Mhm.
system, and if
That's right.
your system remains the same, it's easy for them to hack into your information.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then you have to know too that they study you by looking at your history online. So they're
Mhm.
using that to really invade your family, invade your finances, invade, they use that to go in through the back door, like pirates, they use that to go in. They research your history and all of these different things. So if just try to do, little things that you can do to really, you know, keep
Mhm.
yourself protected, not putting so much information out there on the wire, not putting so much information. That's why a lot of people nowadays really are going into moving off grid, they are calling it,
Mhm. Mhm.
because they're going back to the old way
Oh,
of doing things, growing your own food, raising your own, having a farm, doing all these different things, because it's like, is less of the headache, but this is the way the world is going. It's less of a headache in one place, but
yeah.
it definitely takes a lot of energy and effort in another.
Mhm.
So, it's just a few things. Don, you have any other things? As
I
you
think
ask
those
some
are
questions.
great points that you brought up because in you have to think about those things, but who does until some event happens like what we're
Mhm.
dealing with now? And what
Yeah.
was just frightening, and I could see earlier for those of you who are joining, we were talking about the effects behind the cyberjacking, and I think about the that was cyberjacking breaking security, but I
Yeah.
thought about the event that happened in the White House recently, and the people who entered and caused so much drama and so much issues. I think one person got shot, or I can't remember, but that to me was another form of a breach, you know, because
Oh,
we
absolutely.
have all these securities supposed to be in place. But what the ultimate of it all says to me is you can't be more secure than God. You understand? Because you can put
Absolutely.
things in place. We talk about preparation, and that's good. You can put things in place. You can plan out things, but you know, the Bible says that God, I mean, we plan in our heart, but God directs our path. And it's important for us yet to be like the ants, but also we have to understand we got to do our part too, because you like all the things, the little things that you're mentioning, those are things that we can do to
Yeah.
help ourselves, because as much security as the bank tells you that they have, or um, there's a secure line here and there's a secure line there, I think just knowing that if I'm going to purchase online,
Mhm.
I think this is a really good one, Kamika, that you brought up. Okay, if for me, you know, a certain place I'm very consistent with, so I just need to
Yeah.
buy me a card and transfer
Yeah.
onto that card, so I'm not, you know, being open to all the other my other accounts. That's a
Yeah.
very good idea. If you're going to be consistently shopping at a particular place, you may just want to open a card for yourself just for that particular area, so your money is not connected, or there's
Right.
total access all the way to all of your accounts. Cherry Ann said it's unfortunate that we have reached this point. Let me bring it up. It's unfortunate that we have reached at this point where we as consumers are in so much danger of our identity being
Mhm.
used and everything being hacked. It's frightening. And I agree. I agree. We talked about that. You know, the frightening part. And then you have the unwise people who don't know how to behave when things
Mhm.
go chaotic. They become chaotic and
Mhm.
begin to do cause more chaos. You have those group of people, and you have
Mhm.
the group of people who are going to hide in, shut down, don't know what to do. Then you have the group of people who respond wisely and try to make decision to
Mhm.
help rectify the situation. So
Right.
what group are you in? You know, as a community, as a nation, we have to take the stance of being wise in all that we do. You cannot add yourself to the chaos, because chaos brings chaos. And no matter how wrong a thing may be, you cannot add to it to make it,
That's right.
because two wrongs don't make a right, you know.
Uh,
So what am I saying is, you know, you can't go out there and try to steal the gas just because there's shortage. You know, you can't go out there and try to bring your drum and all your utensils in your home to get all the gas just because you think there's a shortage. That
yes.
you have to be considerate. I think Cherry Ann mentioned earlier, you know, not being selfish. You have to be considerate of other
That's
people.
right.
Same thing with the pandemic. The stores were closing, or there was a hurricane coming. You went in and took all the water. You're not the only one in the world. You're not the only
Right.
one in this crisis. We as a body have to prepare, and we have to also think about other people and how you do that. Let me say this. I was reading my children a story for bed, and it's a very short story. It's probably about 10 minutes long, but it's powerful. And it was, you know, this man got went to the desert, he and his family, and he was heading somewhere, but he decided he was going to turn back around, and he had to go through the desert. And you know how
Mhm.
the desert is, nothing out there. And they had all the tents on the camel, and you know, all their things, and they set up a tent so they can rest and sleep and everything. Well, when he got up, the camel was gone. That's what they needed, right, to take them
Mhm.
home. And they hear they're in this desert, and the husband kept going out and looking for this camel so he can, you know, find the camel to bring them back home. Well, the food that they had traveled with was running out, and they were running out day by day. He was down to two sips of water and one piece of grain or something, and to have that was the last of everything.
Mhm.
And a person showed up looking haggard, and all the man said, "Ah, can I have something to drink or something to eat?" And he was just like about to pass out. And that man gave the last of what he had to help revive this man. And the man went to sleep, and then the other man went to sleep without anything to eat. And he had a dream where he said the gods, but the God spoke to him in the dream and said that was a test. I wanted to see if you was only thinking of yourself, and because you were able to help someone else. When he woke up, his camel was out there, and his camel had a whole bunch of food and water. So he
Mhm.
had more than what they came there with. I say this to say, you never know the person you're going to help, what is going to be in store for you later on. And
That's right.
sometimes we want to grab for right now because we feel like taking all of this now is what's going to save us and help us. But that's
Mhm.
not the ideal way of being a good person. You
Yeah.
want to be a good person in all crisis, in all situation, and
Mhm.
share, because you cannot take all the gas that is there left in that tank and pack it in all your plastic bags, your Tupperware, your canisters, you guess what? You and your gas may end up staying in that one place and die because nobody can come to you to help you in case you fall into an emergency or fall into a trap because you were reluctant to share. So as a body, we as a community, we as
Mhm.
states, as a nation, as a world, we have to get out of the selfish act. And when crisis hits us, have to remember there are other people that is in
Yeah.
crisis too, and find out what you have that you can help and share with others so we
Mhm.
all can be at ease. It's not going to be rosy peach or peachy pink within a crisis, but knowing you have a collective group of people to support each other
Mhm.
makes the journey a little less uh, um,
Yeah.
hectic or
Mhm.
crazy. And I'm not saying that's going to solve all the problem in the world, but I
Absolutely.
believe in the world that you're in, which is your sphere. It is the most important. Start there.
Yeah,
And
great, great, great. That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing that because that was wonderful, wonderful story and a wonderful summary of what we should do. And it's such a great point that in times like that, the first thing people think of, and it's a natural thing actually, people think
mhm,
of self-preservation. They
yes,
think about preserving themselves and making sure that they have what they need, their children have what they need, that this and that and the other. Just like with the pandemic, we talked about the shelves being empty. There were people that were just hoarding all sorts of things,
mhm,
you know. And so what happens really is what you said. Like we have to think of community and we have to think of each other. I can pull up to the pump and I can try to fill my truck up and then pull out 5 gas cans out there and try to fill those up and then
mhm,
and the people behind me are waiting. I was in line and I was watching this happen. you know
mhm,
Someone pulled up with a van, filled the van up, pulled out gas cans and set them all on the thing and
ooh,
filling those up. And it was a line all the way out in the road
oh,
waiting to get gas because over here, there were only 2 gas stations that had gas
wow.
that I found anyway. Only 2. People were lined up and these people were pulling out gas cans and all that, filling all kinds of things, and people were waiting.
Mhm,
But just the way that we feel in a crisis, there are other people that's feeling the same way and perhaps worse. So we
mhm,
have to consider, well, I guess we should consider, um, you know, caring for our neighbor, being our brother's keeper, and being someone that's neighborly and loving our neighbor. Your neighbor is not just a person that lives right next door to
right.
you.
That's right.
Your neighbor is the person that's sat next to you in the cubicle at work. Your
Mhm,
neighbor is the person that you pass by in the grocery store.
mhm,
Anybody, like Don said, in your sphere, whether you know them or not,
mhm.
that's your neighbor. And
That's
so really being intentional about helping. if you're going to hoard, if you're going to grab 24 packs of toilet paper, I hope that you're willing to go out and hand those out to your
That's
neighbor.
right.
I hope that you're willing to do that. If you're going to get, you know,
And
10
not try to
cases of
sell
water,
it for 20 times the worth.
absolutely, absolutely. If you're going to get 10, 40 packs of water cases, then I hope you're ready to give some of those out to your neighbors, because everybody, if we look at our elderly community, a lot of them may not be able to get out.
That's
You
true.
know, our elderly community, even in this gas crisis, they have doctor's appointments. Their trucks, the people that pick them up in the trucks and vans, and those that are handicapped, and those that are on dialysis, and they have the people coming to bring them meals on wheels to
Mhm.
help them after they have to have gas to get to these.
That's
What
right.
if it were your mother, your sister? What if it were your kid? These things, like when we're in panic mode, that's why it's so great to, when you realize and see yourself getting to that place, that you stop and you breathe. Take a breath, do some exercises to calm down, because in that state, most people don't make rational decisions.
Mm-mm.
We act off of impulse, and that's rarely a good thing. Rarely. So when it comes to it, Don made a great point, and we really have to not be selfish in crisis. Even in crisis, if you think you're going to run out of something, you never know who you're helping. You
Mhm.
never know what's attached to this person.
Yeah.
You never, ever know. And
Mhm.
so when it comes to that, we just be mindful, even in our preparation, that we think about other people,
Mhm.
that we just consider it. And I think that's, you summed it up better than, you know, you know, I could ever do. And I'm just, so grateful for that, of what you shared, because it's so important that we keep those things in mind. And in crisis, it's easy for that to slip away from us,
Yeah.
because we're in panic mode. So when you feel yourself getting that way, when anxiety and fear and worry, all these different things, desperation starts to kick in, just stop.
Mhm.
If you feel like you got to do it right now, just stop, because most of the time you don't.
Yeah. I learned that.
Yeah, most of the time you don't. I'd find that out when it came to shopping and buying certain things. If I feel like, oh, I got to get it right now, then I know that's my cue, that I had to learn that, yeah, I probably don't need to buy it right now. And
Because it
just take a
wasn't
step
even
back.
on. Sometimes it's not even on your list when you
Not
went to
even
look,
this.
but you see it because the price looks good and it looks like a bargain. You're like, I gotta get it right now. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
didn't have it on your list, that's how my husband operates. He is. I have a sister that's frugal, very
yeah,
very wise, conscious about how they
yeah,
spend. And she's like, "Do you really need it right now?" Okay,
yeah,
and she'll test me. What are you gonna do? When you buy, tell me what you're gonna just have it sitting there until you need it,
mhm,
right? So well, you
yeah,
don't need it now. So
right,
I like
right.
that, and that's the way we should be with anxiety.
Mhm,
Am I
mhm.
getting overrated? Am I getting overactive? Am I,
No,
responding to something I can't not fix? That's
that's
important
right.
too.
That's right.
Um, the
Yeah, or
sugar
something that's
brand,
not even, yeah, that's not even happening to me right now.
just
It's
oh
not
my
happening
god!
right now. I'm not out of gas right now. I'm not
And
out of gas.
you're getting all crazy just because
Right. Yeah.
control the things that you can control and things that
Yes.
you can't leave it
Yes.
alone and just keep it moving. So
That's right.
I am just excited about this today.
Mhm.
We went from the money, we went from earlier, for those of you who are just joining us, we talked about, does money really buy everything? Can money really, take care of everything? It can do a lot, but I don't think money really controls the side effects of things. And it takes you and it takes God. Whether you save or not save. The ultimate of this universe is the God who controls everything. So
Yeah.
we have to just trust God and put it in God's hand and become prayer warriors, intercessors in the midst of crisis, and pray for situation to be expose of those who are doing things illegally, and those, and praying for the peace of the land, praying for peace
Mhm.
to come to the
Yeah.
situations. And Pauline said money solves problems. So, I think that's just a really good plan. And when you can't do anything, just pray. When you
Yeah.
can't do anything, you're in a situation you can't do, just pray for the land,
Yeah.
pray for the situation to be resolved, pray
Mm-hmm.
for peace.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
always needed. We need peace amongst one another, amongst the community in the
Mhm.
land. So, that's why the Bible is always saying, pray for Jerusalem, because you can never outdo prayer when it comes to peace. Because
You
peace
can.
gives you a mind to think wisely. It helps
Absolutely.
you to focus. When you have peace, you're able to consider others. When you have peace,
Absolutely.
you can observe and watch what's going on. When you have peace, you bring tranquility into your environment. When you have peace, you reject confusion. When you have peace, you're able to settle yourself in what you have, being abased and abound, and content with what you have flowing around you. So peace does a whole lot. We should do
Yeah.
another topic on peace, but
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
yeah.
one. And that we one thing, and I'm just going to interject this really quickly, is don't give yourself grace when you step back and you see your situation and you see what's going on. Don't take on false responsibility. You acknowledge where you are and what you can, what's in your scope of control. What's in your scope of fixing. All of these different things. It solves no problems to sit and complain about the water running under the bridge.
Hmm.
It does no, you're not a dam and you're not the builder of the bridge.
True.
You, there's no way to control that. You can pray
Hmm.
about it. You can pray for an understanding and a different perspective around it. Well, maybe this water is going somewhere fast that I don't see. I don't see where it's going. Maybe the design of it, maybe the bridge that's here is there because they may have tried other things. We don't know. We see the effects of what is, but we can't respond and react just off of what we see as a problem. You
Right.
have to look around there, not taking on false responsibility for yourself. Give yourself grace to step back and say, it's okay.
Hmm.
I don't have to take this on. I don't have to put this on my shoulders, you
Hmm.
know, and step back and release, what it is that you're holding that keeping you in this anxious place, just release it and allow God to do what he does because he's God. And I can guarantee you, God is a master strategist. You hear me? When I read just Genesis, the first chapter, I'm like, yes, this is who I want to serve already because he planned and set systems in place that are still happening right now. We don't have to wake up and say, well, is the sun going to shine today? Because did the sun wake up? Let's
So
wake up
it's
the
a
sun.
sign for
No,
Jack, the sun from shine.
that's right.
They're
God,
gonna hijack
because
the
the
sun from
storm came through, the sun didn't get
sun.
scared and say, I'm not going to come out because that lightning just struck. None of that. Because what happens is God set these systems in place and they happen even now. He's a master strategist. He's a master planner. He just didn't throw this thing together. He said, land, come out of the water.
Hmm.
He said that. He said, land come out of the water. And this, when he said that land came out of the water, that's how we can build now. We can build houses in an ocean.
Hmm.
We can, subdue lands that are underwater.
Hmm.
He called this thing to be so that we can be supplied with all that we need. And he has set this thing in order. He's the master strategist. And I'm telling you, nothing has gotten past God's eye. Nothing. Not the gas shortage, not the cyber hackers, not the cryptocurrencies, not the economic crisis, not pandemic, not global, not social, none of it, not health wise, not medically, none of it has gotten past God's eye because he's already got a plan for it all.
That's
And
right.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to preach here or nothing like that. But what I'm telling you is, if you want something that's constant and that's never changing, the best thing that you could ever do is get connected with God. People change, situation, everything that grows changes.
Hmm.
God has no need for change because he's everything already.
Amen.
He's everything already. So whenever we do, it's like you have to connect into him because he's the one that's unchanging. He has all power, all knowledge, everywhere at the same time, sees all, fix all, yeah, all of that. He's
Hmm.
going to direct us. He's going to lead us. So yeah, so I went off a little bit on some,
That's
but
good though.
y'all
That's
hear what I'm
good.
saying? Y'all
Yeah.
hear what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing. Like, literally, when we take ourselves into these panics, it paralyzes and strips at the same time. It strips us of our peace and of our faith and paralyzes us in a place where we can't move forward in the things that
Right.
God has for us. It paralyzes and it strips us at the same time. And we have to remember that the enemy comes from God. He was created. He was there right next to the master strategist. So he tries to imitate him, but
Mhm.
he's not him.
That's right.
He's
That's
not
right.
him. So we have to really look
Well,
at things in a way,
it's good.
where we begin to give ourselves a think, listen, this is out of my hands. I know who can handle it. So I'm gonna let him handle that. And I'm gonna go on and sit down and eat my lunch.
So that's all you can do, and just be kind to your neighbors and just share,
Yes.
share. Think about others as you're
Mhm.
doing things. That
Absolutely.
you're not the only one that's in this crisis. So you're
Mhm.
not the only one
Mhm.
that need all the gas. You're not the only one need
Absolutely.
all the toilet paper, all the water. And like Kamika mentioned, if you're going to get all of that, have a plan to be sharing it
That's
around
right.
the neighborhood. So this has
Mhm.
been a very good
Yes.
broadcast today. We really appreciate you tuning into um, Free Talk Friday. It's been really good. And the more we do it, is the more we're able to have some good topics and good discussion around what we're saying and what we're doing, because it's necessary and it's needed, especially where we have crisis that's going on and we have people who are panicking and are operating in fear and loss and so forth. So we're at our end. I have announcements that's coming up. I'm also part of the ministry for LCC, and I do want to announce that we are having a tea party on June 26th. So we're going to have a clip coming up on that, and I'm looking
Woo.
forward for that. It's $25 for the ticket. You can contact me. Um, and reach out to me so we can, get you started. We're going to be on Eventbrite and so forth, so you can purchase your ticket. I'm excited. I'm excited. It's going to be really fun. We have this annually every year for Atlanta Tea Party for LCCI. That's Life Changes Club International.
Mhm.
And for Happy Harvest Ministry, we have our monthly roundtable discussion that's coming up. We did cancel for this month, but next month, June 19th, we have our discussion coming up, and it's going to be powerful. That too is more
Mhm.
on that. We're talking about sexual purity. And I think that's going to be a very, very good topic. And also our monthly prayer intercession that we did this month is coming again in June, and I'm excited. I think it's the second month in uh, second Saturday in June, which is the 12th. So June 12th
Mhm.
is going to be our next prayer intercession. And we pray for
Mhm.
everything that you can think of. If you have prayer requests, if you want to join in, we've prayed for people who type in that day. It's live, and we have Zoom. And it's really powerful. You can never stop praying, and we have to continuously pray every day. The Bible says, do not cease in praying. So
That's what
we're
it
not going to
says.
cease. So those are my major upcoming events and for Happy Harvest. And we still have our daily activities. We have our morning prayers, and we're just looking forward to see what God is doing in this ministry and in the land. So see you next week for Happy Harvest. See you next month for the round table, and also for the tea party, and also for the prayer intercession. And we have our weekly prayer that goes on. And if you'd like to join my WhatsApp group, we have a WhatsApp group for Happy Harvest that you get a little bit more on there. You can also reach out again. So I'm going to turn it over to Kamiko to make her announcement, and then we're going to close out shortly.
All right, all right. So I want to first give an update, and I thank everyone for the prayers and everything for the National Day of Prayer that happened on May 6th. It was so awesome, and all of that. We're gathering now a snippet of what happened on that day, and we're going to be releasing that here soon. But it was just so awesome to see people from just all kinds of people, and even many denominations and groups of people coming together to pray. It was an awesome, awesome thing. So I am just so excited about that. Mark on your calendar, the National Day of Prayer happens every year. To take advantage of that, because that is a day that was set aside for us to bombard heaven together as one unit. And so there were groups all over this great nation praying, for various things, and so we, as Don was just saying, that we are not to, cease praying. We should pray all the time. That's what scripture tells us to do. And so that's a day that we came together and we pray this every year. So also we have our homeless event, the warming blankets, warming hearts, homeless initiative coming up in August. So we are now starting now to accept all types of donations, whether they're monetary donations or items that people want to give. But we provide the homeless community with food and snacks and clothing, underwear and socks and toiletries and all of that, because they're on the streets, and blankets as well. And what happens is now it's getting to summer. So it is hot. It's really hot. So giving them water and making sure they have the food and the nourishment that they need while they're out there on those streets. Here in Atlanta, the population is great, not just in downtown Atlanta area, although that's a huge population downtown, but in Gwinnett County and a lot of other counties that's there. Even at the airport, there's a big population of homeless people there. And so with that, we want to be in the number of groups, because there are a number of people that go down there to give to the homeless, that go to different places to give to shelters and all of that. Well, we do this same thing. We go down there and we commune with the people. We talk to them. We we let them know that we hear them and we see them. They're not invisible. We're not afraid of them. A lot of them just want to know that they're seen, that they're not invincible, that they're not, someone that's forgotten in the society. And so we go down there and we take toiletries and we take blankets, because they use blankets year round. And even in the summer, to sit on the ground, to lay on the ground, even to shade from the sun, because trees or something, shade is something that's fought over down there, because people want to get a good spot. So they'll post up there as long as they can. So all of that, giving toiletries and all of that, anybody wants to donate, please reach out. You can cash app us at $Visible Roots. We got you can find us on PayPal as well. It's PayPal me PayPal me /Visible Roots Inc. So you can find us there if you want to donate monetarily. You can do that. If you're in the Georgia area, Atlanta, anywhere surrounding areas, you can reach out to me. You can call, you can email me. The numbers should be going down on the screen, but you can email me or whatever. We can get a location to meet to receive those donations, because you know, we have to look out for each other. And the homeless people are a part of that. Not just, you know, a lot of people, when they think of homeless, they think of some dirty man walking around. But we're looking at, I go down there and I see 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 16-year-olds on the street. I see mothers sitting out beside the road trying to put up a tent while they sit and comb their kids' hair. That's 5. And this is what we're saying. These are the people that are out there. These are people that, you know, fell on some sort of hard time. Something happened in their lives that they just weren't able to recover from. And so now they're in this place. So that's what we're doing there. And this will have our next big event will be in August. But we also, between now and then, during that out, we also go down there and we take water and all of that. But the big event that we have is in August, where we give out all of that. But I tend to go down and check. I know of a few communities and groups that have housing in the woods, that have tents in the woods, and have all of these different things. So we try to make sure we take water and food and all of that stuff there for them as well. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, we're there for our community. We're there to bring awareness to all these different things. We're there to support our families and our friends. We're also looking into the seniors, our elderly people that are living in areas where they're in apartment homes and centers and things like that, and they don't have the proper ventilation. During the summer times, we have a lot of heat strokes and things like that among the elderly. And a lot of times they feel cold, but in the house is way too hot. So we want to make sure that we're looking out for our elderly people during this time as well. So we do that too, and provide fans and ventilation, and reach out to the weatherization people in the community to try to find help for them as well, for those that are living in communities that are impoverished and all of that. So there are a few things that are going on. We get ready to start a new segment on Facebook, Facebook Live and YouTube and all of that, where we're going to do some different talks and bring awareness and interview people and all of that. So we're going to release that information to you as well. So we appreciate you guys for your support and for coming out to look, you know, and to see what we've got going on. We are ministers and mothers and sisters and friends and neighbors and all of that to people that we know and love, and even people we don't know. So we want to be help to our community. Happy Harvest is a great organization, um, um, great organization to connect with, to really, you know, they do some things in the community, you know, really bring awareness and really, you know, support community in a lot of different ways. Visible Roots is the same, you know, that's our endeavor, is to get out there and to help people where they are. You know, we're not trying to, you know, do anything else but that. We want to help people. We want to be a place of resource so that people can get the help that they need. So that's why Free Talk Friday is what it is too. We're here to do that very same thing. So please, you know, connect with us, visit our websites, follow us on Facebook, um, you know, just follow us and share what we're doing, because we're really wanting to help our neighbors and our community.
Awesome, awesome. All right, we have there it goes. So we're going to close right now. So if you have any questions, I was trying to put I was trying to it's not I was trying to put the information in, but I've been typing it in the wrong place. Yes, but I was trying to put the Visible Roots and everything in the chat, but I was putting it in the banner. But anyway, we thank you and God bless you all. And we will see you next week. So without further ado, contact us. There's the information on the screen. And you have Visible Roots going down underneath. I was trying to type this in the thing. But anyway, God bless you all. Goodbye.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you all.